Yo, Eric, we were over here on the paranormal hunt, and I headed over to this other building, and it's number 13. I was just telling Ron, my God.
Welcome Monday morning to this fine, brand new week, exciting week, fun week. Not really too fun. I got some things I got to do tomorrow that's not really fun. I got to get a cat fixed tomorrow. That's never fun. It's not even my cat. Not even my cat.
You broke
I'm
your
the ones
cat?
that get the cat fixed. What's the world about that? Guys, today's going to be fun because today we got several stories. And these stories are these are movies that are based on some facts. Not saying they're true. Not saying they're fake stories or not, but a lot of movies, they have origin stories that come from somewhere. Kind of like the first story today is the Blob from the Blob was based on a real life blob that two cops in Philadelphia have seen in 1950. So that's going to be an interesting story. And then we're going to be talking some other stories like Jaws. Jaws came from a shark attack in New Jersey from 1916. Just in case some of you don't know that. Another story today we're going to hit where there's two movies that's kind of based on the same guy. I'm talking about Psycho, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that was based off of Gein, whatever. Another story of The Hills Have Eyes was based on this group up in Sweden. Yeah, and Scream is based on a serial killer that murdered 5 high school kids. So a lot of these movies are based from a storyline.
Any movies from M. Night Shyamalan?
You know, that's a good question.
He does great
just for
stuff.
the record, people in the chat, I'm not doing nothing on the Conjuring Annabelle stuff because I'm doing that on a separate show on Thursday. There's so many of those. I thought I'd keep that as one story because that's one big paranormal thing we could do. But actually, that guy you just mentioned, I'm watching his new movie this Thursday, the Knock at the Door, Knock at the Cabin, whatever it's called.
Yeah. M. Night Shyamalan, man. He's
whatever it's called. But let me pull up the first story. I do have a video on the first story on the Blob. So, yeah, a lot of people didn't know that the Blob was based on a sighting that 2 cops had back in 1950.
Yeah, I was swimming in the ocean with no shirt on. And 2 cops were trying to chase me, and they were filming the Blob.
You sexy beast, you.
They saw a big fat guy with no shirt in the water.
You sexy beast.
And just for a disclaimer for people, I am trying to be transparent with the video. I'm trying to follow the exact rules. But like always, you never know. Technically, even though it cleared some guidelines that said I can't show it, but we all know sometimes you do show a video, it will get cut off in the middle sometimes. So if it does, don't go nowhere. We'll be back. Hopefully it doesn't. So just want to give a little disclaimer on that.
And if it does, it's 2 minutes usually. It would be down. So don't go nowhere.
Did you make it transformative, Eric? Did you put it inside like
Yes.
a green? Yeah, you should be fine.
Yes. But when I read some people who do that have done that still had their video cut off in the middle. So it's not guaranteed. I just want to let people know it's not guaranteed.
True.
Yep.
Nothing's guaranteed because sometimes YouTube finds out loopholes that people are doing and they want to close that loophole.
True.
It's regardless.
True.
But here is the story about the Blob. And remember, don't pick and choose of what you think what's real and what's not. You know, we all know Roswell's true, but a lot of people will think Roswell's true, but every other story is not. Have an open mind because you never know. You never know what's really true and what's not.
1950, Philadelphia. It's 10 p.m. City cops John Collins and Joseph Keenan patrol the streets. As they drive down a dark road, they see a strange object fall from the sky.
This object resembles a parachute, and it seems to be drifting down into a nearby field.
As they get closer, they quickly realize that this isn't a parachute. This is something altogether unusual, if not otherworldly.
They find a large purple mass about 6 feet across.
It seemed to glow. It seemed internally luminescent, and it sparkled in the dark.
But then, seemingly aware of the cops, the weird substance starts to move.
The strangest thing about this mass is that eyewitnesses swear they saw it climb up a lamppost before evaporating into thin air.
The officers report the encounter, which makes headline news. And it inspires what will become one of the most famous alien horror movies of all time, The Blob.
The cult classic movie, The Blob, features a gelatinous mass that falls from the sky and starts devouring everyone it touches.
The original event is forgotten, and the film is taken as nothing more than harmless fiction. Until 30 years later, when The Blob returns. August 10th, 1979, Frisco, Texas. Local residents watched the spectacle of the Perseid meteor shower, so called because these space rocks emanate from the direction of the constellation of Perseus. The next morning, Sybil Christian is surprised to see 3 unexpected visitors in her front yard.
To her astonishment, there are 3 purple, plum-colored blobs.
These objects are the size of a desk telephone, and they have a texture like whipped cream.
Just like the blob discovered by the Philadelphia cops 30 years earlier. As Sybil stares in amazement, one of them suddenly vanishes. Local authorities alert NASA, whose scientists conduct tests on one of the blobs and make an incredible announcement.
Initially, everyone is astonished because NASA announced these actually could be of extraterrestrial origin.
But as news spreads, the authorities move to quell public alarm. And NASA makes a second announcement.
The next day, they changed their minds and thought that it might be caustic soda from a nearby battery factory.
For a second, I'm going to continue it. But wasn't there a story change too with Roswell? Once there was a crash, then the next day, a weather balloon. Back,
That's right.
Seems like something in the 50s and stuff that, now this one was 30 years later after that incident. So this was later after Roswell on this part, but it's like, why would NASA just automatically change their story? What, they're that wrong? Are they really that wrong? I mean, I don't know. Could be. Just want to pass that out that there's a pattern of governments, NASA's changing their story day after. Just saying.
The theory is a factory truck picked up the caustic blobs as it was driving, and they happened to dislodge and land in Sybil's yard.
But which of NASA's 2 statements is correct?
This is actually kind of suspicious. Why would you go and announce this could be extraterrestrial if you weren't pretty sure of it being that? Are they trying to cover something up?
There's no stopping the blob.
It makes you think, right? I mean, seriously, it makes you think. Well, I mean, if you're not sure, you don't have to report something within 24 hours. Why not take 48 hours? Make sure, say you're studying it. I mean, why will they come out that quick unless you know, right? I mean, that's what you think. Ron, you know a lot about NASA. I mean, are they, beyond these few stories, are they known to, in your experience of following NASA, to change their stories day after one story comes out?
Yeah. What is it that they say with NASA? Never get a straight answer or something like that. Yeah, they do it a lot. They misdirect. They change stories. They've done it plenty of times. For instance, just look at recently with the Artemis. with the problem. What they did to get off the story of the issues that they were really having, they just would bring up tragedies from the past to bring out emotions in people to think about that and get your mind off what's going on. They're known for it.
I mean, of all stories of UFOs, things from the sky, you don't really hear this story about the Blob ever really talked about. I mean, twice in the 1950 and then 20, 30 years later, now they're blaming it on a factory. But that factory was not in Philadelphia where the first story was. So if that factory caused that, then what caused the other purple blob that 2 cops seen?
I don't know.
It could be an experiment that they were working on.
Gone crazy. Some kind of crazy experiment went wild or something.
Could be. I mean, that's a possibility. They
like at
planted
Montauk.
They could have planted something on a missile, or something in the sky. They said they could take a substance too far and it crashed or something. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. But but the Blob was technically based on the story and happened 20, 30 years ago. Okay, so just I don't know, it's kind of trippy to me. I mean, I always say, why cannot this be real? Because listen, first of all, nobody's ever exactly said if an alien life form comes from outer space, what exactly going to show up as. We don't know what they look like or how their body works. Why can't they be a blob? I mean, I don't know.
That was my nickname. Yeah, the Blob.
The Blob. Now that was the first. Now, first of all, guys, in the chat, the Blob. You guys think there's some truth to that story? Put 1 where you think there is some truth. Put 2, no, totally made up. So 1 for true, 2 for being totally made up. Now, this next story is a movie that I know everybody know. Everybody have seen it. Jaws. Everybody's seen Jaws. If you didn't know, Jaws is based on an actual real shark attack in New Jersey in 1916. And a lot of people like to use the word global warming too easily, blame it on everything. People say, there's been more shark attacks because of global warming. No, there's been shark attacks all through history. The only difference between now and then is just we're getting more populated. These oceans are getting more populated with people. There's more feet in the water. So
they follow the fish too.
They follow the fish.
Different schools of fish follow different water climate. They follow the stream, the current under the ocean, and that's where the sharks follow. So.
Be careful with all the facts, all right? When you're putting the facts out there, people tend to get mad. You know what I mean?
True.
Yep.
But that's a big thing. Population, like you said, in anti-fish. Because, everybody forgets that,
Well, let's check out this story of the New Jersey shark attack that inspired the movie Jaws.
Sun, sand, and surf. A fun mix at the Jersey Shore. But it was a much different scene a century ago. Frolicking gave way to fright after shark attacks left 4 people dead and 1 injured.
Having 5 shark attacks within 11 or 12 days, everyone was scared to go in the water. Everyone was fearful. Even one of those attacks today would cause a major uproar.
The summer of 1916 changed how humans viewed sharks, which were once thought to be harmless. The fatal encounters in 3 towns proved otherwise, generating headlines, hysteria, and a thirst for knowledge about the powerful predators. In his book 12 Days of Terror, Richard Fernicola chronicled the gruesome attacks, including the death of a hotel bellhop in Spring Lake.
One individual on the beach actually saw him being flipped out of the water, missing the lower aspects of his legs.
A shark attack in Matawan took place in a creek more than a mile from the ocean. 11-year-old Lester Stillwell was killed while swimming, and Stanley Fisher died trying to recover Lester's body.
The shark attacks him, and it takes a huge gash out of his leg, severed the artery, and about 10 pounds of flesh.
Matawan is holding a series of events this month to mark the centennial and will unveil a memorial to the victims.
It had a significant effect on the town because something went wrong, and they never could really find what you call closure.
Researchers aren't sure if the same shark killed all 4 people, but 100 years later, the Jersey Shore hasn't forgotten its summer of fear. Kathy Matheson, Associated Press, Matawan, New Jersey.
Now, basically, I could say you two are New Jerseys. You mean you're
Hey,
New Yorkers? You guys are close to New Jersey.
Whoa, take it easy.
Doesn't your dad live in New Jersey?
Yeah, my parents. Yeah.
Okay, so you're part New Jersey blood. So you guys know any more about that? About the shark attacks 1916? Is that still talked about today, or?
I don't know, but I can tell you this. We have a timeshare in Cape May, my family, and Cape May, New Jersey. There's a lot of shark activity down there. The whistles go off all summer long to get out of the water down there. There's always sharks and a lot of great white shark sightings in Jersey this year and Staten Island right by me. I don't know if you remember, I did a story on my channel that the great white shark beached itself right up the block from me here on Tennyson Avenue. It was a baby great white shark. It was like 9 foot long, but still, I mean, here on Staten Island, that used to be unheard of. The water used to be filthy here. It just means it's getting cleaner, and they want to come in now. It's crazy.
I have to say something because you said you have a timeshare in Cape May.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you guys something what happened in Cape May. Our sergeant, I can't remember, was so angry at something with some soldiers in the Coast Guard. And one day where we were staying in the bunkers, the sergeants drew all coffee filters, all in the bathroom. All in the bathroom. And then he made every one of us, there was like 20 of us, put on our backpacks. He marched us to the ocean. And they said, dump all your clothes out and start filling up with dirt. So you got to do what they say. And they marched us right into the Cape May Ocean. Teach us a lesson. And I'm going to tell you something. That freaking water is freezing.
Oh, yeah.
Freezing cold.
Absolutely, bro.
Freezing cold. And they got like the biggest goddamn cockroaches I ever seen. I mean, in California, there was a lot of cockroaches, but their cockroaches flew. I mean, they were big cockroaches. My God.
That's nasty.
Just so Cape May. I will never go back to Cape May now.
Cape May's beautiful, though, man.
Oh, it is. It is really beautiful. It was that's where I was stationed. And actually, the magic of it met my wife, because my wife is from New York. So there's connections. See, we're all like New York family in a way. I wasn't born in New York, but my wife was there.
Yeah.
Actually, my first son was actually born in New York. But I gotta tell you something. This is gross. Our doctor, when we got not married, but when we had my son in the hospital in New York, the doctor was wearing Birkenstocks. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's normal, but just like, I don't know. You're delivering a baby, you're wearing Birkenstocks. Aren't you afraid to get splashed on? Is that a New York thing? Does all doctors in New York wear Birkenstocks?
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Oh, like shoes, where it's like slippers. They're wearing slippers, no socks, no nothing. Where it's your skin is showing. So it's like walking barefooted, but you have
a little protection.
Yeah, and it just, to me, like seeing barefooted delivering a baby, I'm like, this is okay. I thought you're supposed to be clean in a hospital. I thought you're supposed to be, I don't know. Like, I'm like, maybe this is an upstate New York thing. I don't know. I've never seen a doctor wear a Birkenstock, whatever type shoes. Well, I don't go to deliveries. I don't. Maybe they all wear those with deliveries, but I thought it was a little strange. Now, the next story from a movie is actually based on two movies. Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre storyline is really based on Gein, Gein, whatever. So I got a video of it. Pop it up. And remember, people, these videos that I pick are the ones that supposedly allow me to play. So it's not like I have every choice to pick any kind of the one I want. There's only certain ones that you can kind of get away with.
Ed Gein, also known as the Butcher of Plainfield, was born on August 27, 1906 in Plainfield, Wisconsin. Gein had a rough upbringing. His mother was verbally abusive toward him, and his father was an alcoholic. Despite this, Gein idolized his mother. His older brother, Henry, who always fought with their mother, strangely died in a fire near the family's property in 1944. Gein reported his brother missing to the police, but when they arrived, he was able to direct them to the burned body. The death was considered an accident despite bruising on the victim's skull. He later moved in with his sick mother. He was completely devoted to her and did not meet any other woman. After his mother died in 1945, Gein became a virtual hermit. He began reading death cult periodicals and stories about cannibals. 12 years later, police in Plainfield suspected Ed Gein for the disappearance of Bernice Worden, a store employee. He was the store's last customer to be billed before she vanished. His property was inspected by the police and the body of Bernice Worden was discovered. Other horrifying things were found.
I'm going to pause it for 1 second, because Purgatory Paranormal has, she's right on this. What is with all the robot voiceovers? Because there's so many copyrights now, even with voices and everything, that it's safer when you do a robot voice. It kind of allows the video to be played, because sometimes it doesn't matter the visual.
It's an animatronic script reader. That's what it is. And
yes,
it goes off the
you too
AI.
can pick up on actual voices.
Right.
And one thing also, Eric, what's helpful with this, when you have something like playing like that, all you have to say is, wow, that's incredible. You throw your voice over that resets the algorithm if it's counting on it like that. Once you throw it off, it goes back and has to count again.
Right.
Great information. I love that. Thank you for that. Let's continue.
Her decapitated and mutilated body was hung upside down with ropes around her wrists and a crossbar around her ankles. Upon interrogation, he admitted to making nearly 40 midnight visits to cemeteries to exhume graves and dig up middle-aged ladies. He also confessed to the murder of Mary Hogan, a bar owner who had been missing since 1954. During the investigation, her head was discovered at his home. The following creations were discovered: skulls used as bed corner posts and bowls, human skin used as lampshades, human skin used as chair covers, a belt made of human nipples, gloves made of human skin, a collection of ears and noses. During Gein's lifetime, gender dysphoria was not yet recognized. Due to the then unavailability of gender reassignment, Gein had to improvise as a woman. He wore masks, a corset, and his leggings. Gein also resorted to using a torso vest fashioned from a woman's upper body and complete with female breasts. He believed it gave him a feminine appearance. Gein was initially found medically unfit to undergo trial and was subsequently sent to Central State Hospital in Waupun, Wisconsin.
I can see that. The guy's a whack.
In 1968, he was declared fit for trial, but he was found not guilty on the basis of mental insanity. On July 26, 1984, at the age of 77, Gein died at the Mendota Mental Health Institute from respiratory failure caused by lung cancer.
I mean, first of all, these kind of people.
Jesus, reminds me of Silence of the Lambs, man.
I mean, the movie Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is where their story came from. This
Rubs
guy,
the lotion on the skin. You remember that guy, Buffalo Bill?
Buffalo Bill. Yeah. I mean, this is the original psychopath that was on TV in a way. I mean, there's probably people like him all through history, but this was like one of the first major ones that hit the airwaves on the news and all that.
So they didn't have sexual reassignment surgery back then. So basically, he was making his own feminine skin suit so he can transform into a woman. That's pretty insane when you think about it, man.
Yes. Well, even you think about, even if they say technically you have that even back then, that stuff is so goddamn expensive that nobody could afford anything like that. And
Jesus. So kill people and take their skin and make a suit to wear? Oh, God. You know what that must have smelled like? Ugh.
Yeah.
have you never heard of this guy before?
No.
Oh, wow. There's even a movie about this guy. Not a good movie, but there's even a movie about this guy. But that's where the Psycho and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre origin story came from this guy. Yeah. And did you hear how he kind of got off in a way because mentally, whatever, it was mental issues, but of course he was in a mental hospital, and that's the original Silence of the Lamb right there.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's where they even got it from, because it's funny. That's what I thought when I seen that like mannequin looking thing, and it's just like disgusting. See how dirty? Ugh.
But that was the same thing from Silence of the Lambs with Buffalo Bill. When he puts his skin suit on and he starts dancing. You want to fuck me?
Wait. Was that English Bob?
Yeah, right.
English Bob it was.
Uncle Bobby and whatnot.
Yeah.
So English Bob does that?
That's the skin suit. With a parrot.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then hold on a second. I gotta find this next one is based on. I got it mixed up here. Hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. Where is it? Give me a sec. Okay, yeah. Next one. If you've seen the movie The Hills Have Eyes, that movie itself is based on a story itself. The Sawney Bean. God, I can't even. No, I'm not even going to attempt to say that word. I'm going to play the video. You'll get the name of this family when I show you here. Let me see here. Sawney Bean Cannibal Clan. So this is The Hills Have Eyes is based on.
The Scottish legend of Sawney Bean was the grim inspiration for the disturbing Hollywood movie The Hills Have Eyes. The grisly tale is every bit as horrifying as the movie. Set in the early 17th century, the story goes that Sawney Bean established an incestuous clan of many children and grandchildren. They hid out in a sea cave, well covered during high tide, and from their covert cave position they would stalk travellers, killing them and stealing their possessions. After this, their victim's corpse would be dragged back to the cave to be carved up, mutilated and eaten. Sawney Bean, his wife and their carnivorous cannibal family continued their morbid deeds for over 20 years. They met their demise after a botched robbery attempt on a young couple. The woman was quickly murdered, but the man fought back to save his life. The commotion brought a large crowd to the scene from a local fair that was happening nearby. The Beans, realising they were outnumbered, fled the scene back to their cave. The account of the incident was reported to the Chief Magistrate of Glasgow. He concluded that this had something to do with the growing number of missing people and reports of body parts washing up on the coast. Outraged by reports, King James sent an army of 400 soldiers, tracker dogs and volunteers to find the killers of the young woman. The canines soon led the soldiers to the cave, which was a horrific sight. Limbs and body parts were hung up on the walls of the caves like meat from a butcher's. The entire clan was sentenced to death and met their ends in horrible agony. The 27 male members had their arms and legs chopped off and were left to bleed to death slowly. The 21 female members were made to watch before being burned alive as witches. There is some debate as to the accuracy of the story. Many publications state the tale as truth, whereas sources such as the BBC say it's merely a myth. Stephen Brocklehurst, a journalist for the BBC, writes that the story was a propaganda tool used by the English press to demonise Scots during the Jacobite uprisings. Whatever the case may be, the story of the Sawney Bean cannibal clan is certainly Ayrshire, Scotland's most disturbing tale.
Here you go. That's where the Hills have eyes.
Screwballs.
Based on, just to let Anthony know about Silence of the Lamb. Right here, it is based off of Ed Gein also. The movie is so damn freaky. It follows Dr. Hannibal Lecter, a psychiatrist who also happened to be a violent murderer, psychopath, James Gunn, Buffalo Bill, a serial killer who murdered overweight women so he can wear their skin. The character's game was also inspired by Ed Gein, according to biography. So my fault. I should have said 3 movies. So Psycho. So you have Psycho, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and The Silence of the Lamb. I mean, Ed Gein is like his own franchise.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Weird way.
They definitely went and spoke to him in the psychiatric ward to get his thoughts on things and stuff like that. There's the famous Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, and now this Hills Have Eyes. When a family's car breaks down in the desert, they suddenly targeted by a group of cannibals mutants. The movie is based on the story of the Sawney Bean Cave Clan, who, according to legend, were a group of cannibals who killed more than 1,000 people in Scotland around the 16th century. Supposedly, 1,000 people. I mean, that's like a whole family of Ed Geins right there.
The Hills Have Eyes was a sick movie, man. Have you ever seen that, Eric? Ron?
Oh yeah, I've seen the original and the remake.
Insane.
Disgusting.
Yeah, is it the original? I'm trying to remember. The original, wasn't it done by Wes Craven?
The Hills Have Eyes. Is that the one that had that like little clumpy dude in a wheelchair?
The soldiers get stuck in up in the mountains and all them deformed.
Yeah, but there's like the little ringleader's like this little clumpy guy in a wheelchair.
It's that weird guy that's in the Motley Crue smoking the boys room video. Here, hold on. Let me say Hills has.
It was a bunch of characters in that movie.
Hills has eyes images.
Yeah, they're all like deformed.
Here, I'm gonna.
I remember what the storyline was like. They lived there after a nuclear blast went off on a military range or something like that, and they got all deformed.
This is the famous guy that was in it.
Yeah.
But they were, oh man. See, my girl, she loves all these sick movies like this. I can't stand them personally. I get stuck watching them.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of those.
Me neither.
Because you know what it is? It's not that it grosses me out or anything, but once you see like, okay, the whole head is blown open or something like that, and that's all the movie's based on that.
Yeah, but I seriously think in my head after watching a movie like this, now some nut job's gonna watch this movie and then go do it to somebody. That's what freaks me out.
And they do.
And they do.
Yeah, and of course, if anybody wants a little Easter egg, it doesn't really matter. That actor right there who plays that sick character was filmed a character in the movie The Crow, Brandon Lee, where Brandon Lee actually had a guide to tell him what he needs to do, and it's in the comics. But after the shooting and all that, they actually when they rearranged the movie, all the scenes with the guide they cut out. So he actually was technically in the Crow movie, but because they had to rearrange it because of the shooting and all that,
he's in a lot of movies. This guy.
What's that?
He's in a lot of movies. This actor.
Oh yeah. He's also famous for being in the Motley Crue video, "Smoking the Boys Room."
That's right.
And if anybody grew up in the '80s, will remember Weird Science.
Oh, great!
Weird Science. He was in there. He was
Kelly LeBrock.
Oh, he was the biker gang guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that says, "Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
right.
We're sorry."
That's right.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. So we got one more.
I know all those guys were trying to hook a Barbie doll, sisters Barbie dolls up to jump.
Yeah, I fell in love with Kelly LeBrock.
How many of us had bras on our head after that movie with our sisters Barbie dolls and jumper cables?
I still do.
Family car.
Yeah, I do that every Saturday night.
Weird Science was my movie, man. God, people forget that Robert Downey Jr. was actually in it.
That's Ron's weekend warm up.
You know, he was a side character, but I mean
That's
that
right.
whole movie.
He
And
threw the
everybody
Slurpee
was in love with that girl, that lady, Lisa.
Oh yeah,
in the movie, Lisa. Everybody had a
Oh,
Lisa
yeah.
poster. Lisa.
Robert Downey Jr. He threw the Slurpee in the mall on the kid's coat.
Yep.
Remember?
And one of my most favorite scenes is when Anthony Michael Hall was drunk in that bar. You know, when he was all drunk.
Yeah, man.
Hey, man.
Hey, man.
Hey.
No, I love you, man.
Or how do you say? No, give me the keys. No, give me the keys. Give me the keys. I'll drive,
man. Give me the keys. I'm good. I can drive. That's a great movie, man.
I love that movie.
Love that.
Anthony Michael Hall was pure 80s. I mean, he was in Vacation, and then 16 Candles, going in the bathroom with the panties, like, you know, trying to prove to
that
his
movie
friends.
launched his career, boy.
Let me ask you guys a question. When you were young, do you remember watching the TV show A Different Strokes?
Yeah,
of course.
Do you remember Do you remember the episode when Arnold gets kidnapped by the pedophile and he's got him in his underwears and he's taking pictures of him with the bicycle? That traumatized me when I was a kid. That episode, man.
I remember
traumatized. Remember he was the neighborhood bicycle fix-it man. And he brings his bicycle there, and then he's like got him down in his underwears. He's taking pictures of him. That traumatized us as kids because we all had the neighborhood bicycle guy growing up. You know what I mean? Buck was talking about that on his show, and I was like, Jesus, man, that traumatized me too, man.
I don't remember that one, but I can imagine that would stink being a bicycle guy at that time, right?
Crazy, man.
A good friend.
Kids don't do that
Carly
anymore,
Webster.
though.
She's my like movie partner. You say something about a movie, she knows it. Carly Webster knows it. Now, this last one is the movie Scream is actually based on an origin story of the Gainesville Murders. So if you guys have not seen, if you guys don't know the origin story of Scream, well, this is your first time. I don't want to say this is a treat because it's never a treat when bad things happen, but this is where that story came from. The Gainesville Murders, and this is a new story they did on it 25 years later.
25 years since Gainesville was shaken by the murders of 5 college students.
And those memories live on for the families and friends, as well as the members of law enforcement who pursued justice for the victims. WUFT's Jenny Tenner spoke with Waylon Clifton, who was Gainesville's police chief at the time of the murders. Jenny, what did Clifton have to say looking back at the case?
Jenna, Clifton said he was off duty getting ready to play racquetball on August 26, 1990, when his deputy chief called him to report the first crime scene. The days and weeks that followed were an unrelenting pursuit of the killer.
When then Chief Clifton arrived at the Williamsburg Village Apartments, he said he saw a scene he would never forget. 2 UF students brutally murdered in their own apartment.
It was very clear to a veteran police officer that this was not just a Saturday night argument and fight that resulted in murder. This was planned. We could easily see this was a serial murder.
Panic and worry spread through Gainesville after 3 more victims were found murdered. Top law enforcement and forensic experts arrived from around the country to help GPD name a suspect.
You'll see more police coverage than you've ever seen in any city you've ever lived in.
WUFT spoke with Clifton 1 year after the case to reflect on his promise to solve the murders.
I had to go out there and say something reassuring to the extent that I really believed. So I just walked out and said, we'll catch this killer. I don't know if it'll be in 72 hours or 72 months.
25 years later, Clifton says he stands by this statement.
I didn't say soon. It could be 3 weeks. It could be 3 months. It could be 3 years. But we're going to catch this guy. Of course, he'd caught himself, really. We just had to identify him.
Danny Rolling was arrested in Ocala for robbing a grocery store just 1 week after his last murder. Rolling was publicly named a suspect 8 months later. He pleaded guilty in 1996 and was executed in 2006.
Well, that's the first execution I've ever attended. And I only did that because the families would become so close with the victims' parents and their relatives.
This case was one of the first in the nation to use DNA to identify the suspect. Clifton says GPD added new procedures after learning how to work with DNA evidence.
If you're going to commit murder in any city, Gainesville's the wrong place to do it. And that was kind of the legacy we left there. And I guess that's, as I say, that's the highest compliment you can pay a law enforcement agency.
Clifton stepped down as police chief in 1996. He retired and moved to Mississippi in 2012. He says he stays in contact with many of the families until he moved, and he thinks about them often. Reporting from the newsroom, Jenny Tittner, WUFT News.
If anybody has Discovery Plus, they actually have a documentary series, shot docs, whatever they call it. Scream, this story is actually one of the documentaries that you could watch on Discovery Plus right now about Scream, where in the movie Scream, instead of college kids, they did high school kids and all that. And I don't know if you guys seen the last Scream movie. My daughter liked the last Scream movie because it had that girl that plays Wednesday. Everybody loves that actress. I watched the movie Scream, the last Scream, and this is the only thing I have to say about that movie. These people in this movie were getting stabbed like 3-4 times, and they were still walking around like nothing. And at the end, when the ambulance were there, two of the girls were sitting on there. They just got stabbed. I'm like, my God, listen. I know it's fantasy kind of a thing, but come on.
I know.
I'm sure if I got stabbed once,
die already.
I'd probably be crying like a little baby or something to get fixed. These people were just getting stabbed and stabbed and stabbed. I'm like, wow. It's almost like when Fast and the Furious is, we that's fake, but Fast and Furious got really fake, where cars going into space.
I know, it got too dramatized, yeah.
It got too dramatized. Now watching that last
Agreed.
scene, like, there's no way in hell someone could get stabbed more than once and just still walking around. And
Agreed.
I don't know. I don't know.
You're absolutely right.
I don't know. I don't know how many. It's like how many licks to a lollipop do you get to the middle? How many stabs can you get to where you actually stay on the ground
Before you bleed out? You know.
Before you bleed out. I'm not trying to make light of it, but I'm like, Jesus, wow.
It's crazy.
But
it's amazing because there's been people that got stabbed like 50 times and they live and like not one major organ was hit.
I know.
And it's like a wild stab and not like they just stood in one spot.
Talk
like
about divine intervention, right,
missed.
Ron?
Huh?
That's where divine intervention comes in.
Seriously, something into see because like imagine that 50 stab wounds and everything missing by like millimeters.
Yeah.
That's just incredible. Like that.
Somebody earlier brought up in the chat about The Exorcist, and the reason I didn't bring up The Exorcist because just on the last show that I did, we talked about the St. Louis kid that the movie was based on, so I didn't need to bring that one back up. But a lot of these movies, guys, they're based on some origin stories and all that.
The girl from the movie, oh my God, Poltergeist, that played Carol Ann, she died making that movie. Remember?
A lot of them actually died. She died of a sickness. She had I forgot what she had, and I think her older sister from the first one passed away. Now the priest guy from the second movie, he died too, but he died of cancer. I think he was already sick while they were filming it, so I don't know. But they're calling it the Poltergeist curse.
The curse, yeah, right.
Yeah, it's called the Poltergeist curse. And there's been several more people who've died too, but. Yeah, that was a tragedy. When you saw the
Monster
last
Radio, we
Poltergeist,
covered the Jaws in the beginning from New Jersey, the Jersey story about Jaws.
well, because Poltergeist 3, she was blown up in a way, so you could see that she was sick. Which Poltergeist 3 was so freaking stupid. I'm like, this is. Oh my God, I hated that.
But I used to be terrified because the property that my grandparents owned on Staten Island, they owned like a whole block square, right? But it used to be the old St. Mary's Cemetery. And then St. Mary's Cemetery purchased a new lot. They removed all the headstones and caskets, and they transferred them to the new lot. And then they sold the property that my grandparents' house was built on. And that house there was a ghost in there, in that house. It was haunted, like all my aunts and uncles always talked about it, and it always freaked me out. Then when Exorcist came out and you saw the coffins and stuff coming out of their houses, I was like, oh my God, this is my grandmother's house. It's like the same story. It's crazy.
I'm gonna have to
Terrify me.
Guys, I'm gonna have to call somebody out. Monster Radio wrote Jaws was based on a real story. I'm calling him out because I knew he came in late because I already played a video of Jaws about the 1916 New
That's what I was
Jersey.
saying.
So I know he was late because I had a video, Monster Radio. So I was just joking with you. But we actually, earlier in the video, it was the second story behind the Blob about the 1916 New Jersey where 4 people got killed by a shark. But Ron, out of all the stories you kind of heard here, was there any one story you never heard of that was kind of interesting to you by any chance?
Well, I never heard of the one. What was the guy's name? The one that we compared to
Gein?
Hannibal Lecter movie.
Gein?
Yeah, that one. I never heard of that one before. Believe it or not. Yeah.
Wow, and that's pretty,
sick.
That's a pretty, and then I'm not saying for serial killer wise, he's a popular top 10 serial killer that's known to the world. That's good.
Yeah,
crazy, man.
That's what makes me like. I'm like, wow, because I'm just missing that. And can I, before I forget, can I show you something? Can you put this on big screen? This is Blue Chicken made this file, and I printed it out yesterday.
No, that's so cool.
Right, this is the alien hand that he made, and he's sending me, and he also made things like this. There's a little keychain one, but I messed it up, the Cosmic Neighbors. But now that it prints really good, I'll be making the bigger ones, and they'll probably be for sale on my site.
May I ask, is there some kind of an origin story with that alien hand? Did that come from somewhere? I know there's 4 fingers. Was it something that he saw or something, or
that I'm not sure on, but I do know this hand. He's also built the actual alien, so I know he's going to send me those files. And I asked him, does he mind if I share that stuff? He said he doesn't mind if I don't mind like that. So I share it, but I'll ask him, or if you see him, Blue Chicken, Orlando, you could ask him too, but I'll ask him for you because we were emailing, all day yesterday and messaging. So, but he did build an alien around this. So it's pretty cool though. And it prints.
He's really good at it, Blue Chicken, man. He's really good at the 3D printing and graphic art stuff.
Yeah, he's great at using CAD and all that.
CAD, yeah, right. Yeah.
And Angel, your dragon, I you know what? I promise you, I'll get you the dragon. I promise, I'll get you a dragon. All right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys out of those stories that I've told today that made me want to research more is actually the first one, the Blob. Made me think because it's easy, not easy, but it's easy to compare murderers, serial killers into a movie, But you're talking that has science fiction in it, a meteorite or something hitting the ground or. Thing. It just makes you made me want to research to the point where was there something else in the sky? It made me think. Was it an experiment?
I'm sorry. I didn't see your thumbnail till like last night because I would have sent you a bunch of my baby pictures earlier, like a few days ago.
Ron,
you would
show
have more content to share about the Blob.
Show him my dance video, Ron.
What?
Show him my dance video.
If you guys hear what Ron said, he kind of insulted Anthony in a way because on Anthony's show, he showed a picture of that thumbnail for the show for Monday. So that means Ron wasn't paying attention even on Anthony's show.
Yeah, you want it?
Probably.
I'll give it to you.
Probably.
The Sunday. Yesterday, you showed the thumbnail for tomorrow's show, and that's what I meant.
It's down there.
Here's the Blob. CGI Anthony, ladies and gentlemen.
Now hold on. Did he? Is that face on there? Is that just the character from the video, or did you say put your face on there?
No, it's the character from the video.
For green screen scenes, and that came up just like that.
This guy.
It'd be cool to try the best you can to put like Anthony's face on there or my face on there, and then you really go for it.
I want to put the The S4 logo. It's
Tattoo him with it. Tattoo him with the S4 logo. He's got the forearm tats like me and everything. He's got a back tattoo.
And the double spin is
back
funny.
tattoo. Oh shit, this is great. I
Oh.
love it. I love it.
You
Good fun.
know how you talking about you gotta do certain things to video so the algorithm don't mess it up or whatever. What if every video we play, we put that guy in there somewhere, just dancing somewhere in the video? Would that throw off YouTube? Like
You can. That's me dancing and Mike Johnson sipping on a drink in the UFO there.
Here you go. Look at his face. Like he needs a drink.
Oh, I want to thank Dorothy,
Miss
and,
Dorothy,
and Terry Brown
for
for donating. And guys,
Very
I'm
kind
not
of you.
as cool as Anthony and Ron, because they
Get
make
outta
these
here.
wonderful videos for individual people that makes me look so bad that nobody
Get
wants
outta
to
here,
donate
Eric.
because I don't have anything cool like that.
Yes, you do. But you got a whole cartoon series. What are you talking about? Crazy.
So here, I'll do this for you guys.
How about a nice game of chess?
Great
That was one of
movie.
my earlier stuff.
Great movie. Love that movie.
I love war games.
My girl
I
doesn't
love war
get it.
games.
Like I can sit down and watch the old 80s movies all day. And she'll come down and she's like, are you watching old movies again? I love them. Love them.
What made war games great is when they put that voice monitor with the computer,
Yep.
and it's kind of funny that when he was at the base, that voice is still there. It's not at his house. Like,
Right.
does the voice follow the AI?
I know,
And
yeah.
go over there. But if you really think about the movie in a way, that the movie's kind of predicted the future where everything was going towards electronics, AI to make the decision because they felt that man cannot make that decision under that kind of a stress.
Mm.
Like people will not, hit that key, hit that button, and do what they need to do. And one person would have total control back at base.
Hey, professional paranormal research. Welcome. Good to see you here, buddy.
Actually, hey Ron, do you know how that setup it is now? Technically, like if a nuclear attack was going to happen, hopefully not. Is it still? Do you know by any chance? Is it still done by two people putting codes and doing the key, or does one person have ultimate button?
Nope. It's you got the president wherever he goes. They what's called the football. That's the bag. That's the one that has the codes in it. Wherever he
Mission
goes,
codes, right.
that goes along with them.
Yeah.
But there are multiple keys. There's two have to do it, and they also have to enter the codes a couple of
president
times.
decides that.
They break the tabs, and there's codes in them. From what I understand, and that's only as recent as maybe last year that I was looking at that. But yeah, they still have no one person can just do that.
President and the Secretary of Defense do it at the same time.
Yeah.
And then before we go to individual channels, we're getting close to the closing time. I do want to show one thing to you guys. If you have not seen this, one of the newer things I'm trying to add to the channel is some personal kind of interviews in a way. So basically, the first one is here where I actually interview Anthony, and if you haven't seen it, I'm going to put this in the chat. And the way this format works here for anybody who likes this kind of stuff is what we did was Anthony had a near-death experience. So the idea of this kind of an interview show is I'll come on, give a little introduction of what the topic's about, and then I let the person like Anthony tell his story uninterrupted. There's no interruption. He tells his whole story, and then I'll come back on with him and ask him questions that are from the story he just told. So in a lot of ways, I like doing this way. So if I never heard his story before, I'm not getting questions from before. You know, the questions I'm asking is from his story he tells within. Then I give a little in, then it's over. So 30 minutes. So, and I try to make this around 30 minutes. And I'm planning to do this once a week. So like, I'm kind of not doing a live show on Fridays anymore. I'm kind of just recording a premiere interview and playing those on Saturday. Because Anthony does a show on Sunday, kind of gives something for somebody on every day of the week in a way, I guess you could say, and all that. And I want to, do different people. Like I want to do one on Ron. I heard from somebody that Ron,
great story.
Somebody said to me that Ron has a great story that I actually never heard of. I never heard of it.
Great story.
And I don't want to know anything about his story. I don't want nobody telling me about it because I want him to hear it, and I want to hear it for like the first time and ask him questions based on what I just heard. So that's
I
the
only
idea.
talked about it one time when I was headed to Anthony's house. That was the first time I spoke about it in probably nearly 25 years like that. And after talking about it, it screwed me up for at least 3 days, 3 nights.
I remember, yeah.
And it's just, there's so many different ways to do interviews, and there's no right or wrong, different ways. But I kind of just like sometimes let the guy tell his story uninterrupted and get it out there and all that. It doesn't have to be an hour, just 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever the person feels comfortable, and then we'll ask a question. That's what it's about. And if any of you guys like to have a story that wants to be told in a way like this, where you don't feel pressure on a live show kind of a format, let me know. Send me an email, paranormalhighway13@gmail.com. For some people, it's more comfortable when you know you're not live. You can just kick back. And if you say something wrong, I couldn't edit it out, but I don't want to edit it out because I think raw is real.
No.
And I also dropped the link for UAMN TV / Gaia where I did my documentary over there. That went really well. If you didn't see it, go check that out. It's already got 25,000 views over there, man, on the YouTube end. It's doing really well.
It is awesome. So beyond that, let's just go see what's going to be happening on some other channels coming up. So today we'll start with Unidentified S4. Oh, just so everybody knows, I'm not doing a show tomorrow. I gotta get a cat fix, some appointments. I just have no time tomorrow to do a show.
Don't be breaking your cat, man.
Not my cat's my son's cat.
You're getting a day off.
Playing hooky.
So Wednesday, I'm doing What Do the Greys Want From Us? When I'm calling it Operation Nightmare, the Alien Grey Agenda. The show's going to be moved up to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific. I have an appointment on Wednesday at 12:30 for about 45 minutes. When I get back from the doctor, I'll go live. So it will be 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll be the only time the show gets switched, just because my doctor's appointment. But we will be on. That's so cool. Come hang out. I named it Operation Nightmare. That's not an actual thing. It's just what I called it. So it's about the alien greys abducting people in their sleep and basic stories about how it's happening to others and all that good stuff.
I'm excited about that. That's awesome. Now that little boy right there, is that supposed to be you as a kid?
No, it's just a kid. I seen him holding the orb. I thought it was cool. I added the aliens. It just fit perfect.
It does. That looks awesome.
That
looks awesome. So let's come over here to Cosmic.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Cosmic Neighbors. Let's see what Cosmic Neighbors got coming up.
Yeah, Big Jim coming up.
Yeah, and Wednesday, right? Because I always listen to us guys right here, we always listen to what you request out there or what you say. And I know several people this weekend mentioned, hey, because they liked it. Like last week, if you remember, when on Wednesday, Jim sent me some pictures and he did it on the fly. And it was of UFOs and Polaroids and all this. And he had stories. So it was requested, does he have any more? So I called him right away and asked him. And he said, sure thing, Ron. So this Wednesday should be interesting because I don't even know what he's going to send me.
He got dope.
Yeah.
UFO
So-
pictures from back in the day, man. He's got a dope collection.
Yeah. Be ready for
Gonna
you know,
enjoy
some really cool stories. You know, Jim. What's
Jim's
going
awesome.
on? How I win the lottery? How are you, buddy?
Good to see you, bro.
Yeah, Jim Goodall. He's such a kind guy. He just-
Jim, he's the best, man.
And Terry Brown. See
Both
what he
of you
says,
are.
Eric? Bring that up for a second if you can. I would love to hear Terry Brown tell his thing.
I'll come
Oh
on.
yeah, that's right.
anytime and talk
He's a
about
writer,
some-
Terry Brown. He's
Oh,
an
that'd be
author.
awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But Terry,
I love
see,
stories.
but Terry, but Terry, thing is, I don't want any story. I want the one story that really changed your life somehow. I want that story that made you think differently. Think a certain way. That's the story that I'm looking for. The one story that changes everything for you. And myself going to be doing this too. I'm going to have Anthony interview me telling the Bigfoot story in that kind of a format. So we're all going to do it.
This is
So
gonna be
beyond
great.
that, I appreciate every single one of you people for being here today. It's always fun. And I'll see everybody in the chat. I'll see you guys next on Anthony's channel this Wednesday at 11 a.m.
2 p.m.
Pacific time, 2 p.m. East Coast time, which makes it even easier for me. Oh no, I gotta tell my son that I have to leave later now. Darn it. Sometimes I leave my son early on purpose, and what I do is I convince him that, okay, let's go home early. I'll get you some breakfast. And then really I'm getting myself some breakfast. But now I'm not gonna be able to get that breakfast.
I'm sorry.
I'm joking. But beyond that, everybody, I want to thank everybody for being here today. It's always
Yes.
fun, and I'll see you guys all next time.